Hey guys, it's January 3rd. Chance and I are out here. It's his first time out in the woods this year. So, he's going to be very rusty. We're not really shed hunting. He's just kind of going out and getting some exercise. January 3rd, 90% of the deer have not dropped. That 10% of big ones that did drop are so far and few between through the state that if you find one, consider yourself extremely lucky, because that doesn't normally happen. This time of year, what I do is I set cameras out. So right before Christmas, I put 4 of them out along this logging road. Basically to see what bucks are left, if they're still carrying, if they're part of that 10% that have dropped already, and to see what condition they're in. Now, we all know that this rut was extremely long and extremely intense, due to the fact that the first of the year does came to wait because of the massive amount of acorns and other mass crops that were out there. They came to wait and then came into season later on, which extended the rut a little bit longer than normal and kept it very intense. I was seeing bucks that should have been weighing at the end of the rut 160, 170 pounds down to 140, 150. That's extreme. I've seen a lot of bucks so far, and a lot of them are nothing but skin and bones. So here's a few things that I'm going to caveat before we go in here. 1, don't go into day bedding. Day bedding meaning your thick spruce and stuff on the south face, the south and just over the north face sides. Stay out of them right now. The deer haven't shed. Not enough of them have shed to make it worth your time, for 1. And for 2, don't stress them out. These guys are in extremely poor health right now. They've been stressed because of the rut, and any extra stress that we put on them can be detrimental to their health, even causing death. So let's keep that in mind. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get that big rack that they didn't shoot, but for God's sakes, let's give them a little bit of time. I know you're always worried about somebody else going in and finding the big sheds from the buck that you're after. It happens. But on the other hand, you got to keep in mind that if you go in and you pressure these bucks right now before they drop in an area that they feel safe and they can lay down, eat, and have a fairly safe existence at this point in time, you're going to pressure them right off your piece of property onto the neighbor's property or onto a piece of property that you do not have access on, and they will drop over there and you will never get that shed. So a little patience will go a long ways right now. So what we do, we put out cameras and then we check the cameras and we keep a pretty linear path. So what I normally do is I find logging roads in the places that I hunt that they're not going to be as apt to be as spooked if they run into human scent on a road, because they know we're lazy and we use roads. So if you keep to the roads and put cameras on crossings or in an area right off a path or a road with a lot of oak that they're feeding in, you're better off, because now you're not getting into these bedding areas or these deep feeding areas where they may feed during the day and spooking them and running them right out of your area. We all know that the big mature bucks will only put up with so many incursions into their lair before they're gone. I've had them disappear back in the day when I didn't know any better. I'd have them disappear for a whole year and find a new place to stay. It'd take me all year to find them, and by that time they've moved back. So anyways, that said, we're going to go out, we're going to grab the cards out of the cameras that we have placed on this logging road, and we're going to extend our distance out on this logging road into another oak flat with the extra cameras I have in my bag. And then we're going to leave them for another week, 2 weeks, however long it takes. Once I start seeing that the deer have dropped their antlers, I start making my searches, and my searches generally are going to be only in feeding areas until the end of March into April. Then I move into the bedding areas, the what I call day bedding areas. You're going to find beds on these south-facing slopes that most of the time are from deer who are bedding at night while they're feeding in these oaks. They'll generally go to find a place with a thermal barrier to stay during the day. you know, like the big thick hemlock areas at the top of these hills, just over the north face for the big bucks. 90% of the antlers are going to be found in your feeding areas anyways. So staying out of those bedding areas will help you in two ways. One, you're not going to pressure those deer during the day while you're searching and busting them out of there and having them go find another oak flat 10 miles away. And you're also keeping them unstressed and allowing them to gain weight. More weight at this time of the year while they're eating is going to help them grow bigger antlers in the spring. The more healthy they can be at this time of year through the winter, the bigger the racks are going to be and the heavier the bodies are going to be. So that said, let's go and check these cameras and place out our other ones. Alright, so right here we've got our Exodus camera, as you can see, and we're running the FamBam camera mount on it. It works stupendous. It keeps your angle. See that? So I gotta have an angle on that camera facing like it is to face and hit right here on that crossing. And you can see why I have it on this crossing is it's a travel zone for bucks right through here. And there's another big rub right over in there, as you can see. And they go right up this ridge and then feed over. So this is a perfect spot for one. We had 25 pictures on the camera. She is, make sure I did turn it on. I hate doing that. A little bit of OCD showing here. So we pop open our door and it's in the on position. Battery life is still 100%. So that's, and it's been pretty cold, so I'm pretty impressed with that. All right, me and Chance are gonna head this way. Come on, buddy. All right, there's our last one right there. That's our autopilot, and it's looking right out here where all that fighting was, and the trail cuts right through everything. This one's got a pretty good long range on it, and it's very sensitive, so it picks up just about everything that moves. So that should work. Let's go, Jay. Find? What'd you get? Ooh, nice one. Nice job, buddy. What do you got? What do you got? Nice job, boy. Nice job, boy. Oh, there's the first one for the year. First one for 2021, right there. Let him play with it for a minute. It was just right out here. I don't recognize that buck. Nice 8-pointer. Kind of figured we might find something out here. Let's see if there's another one, buddy. We're on this piece, not too far from the house, that I have a bunch of cameras. There's an oak patch, a bunch of big oak patches in here, and the deer are just digging it up pretty hardcore. So Chance and I, see there, he's right there. Chance and I are out here just checking around, and we've already found one. I'd take it off my backpack, but I'll show that to you in a little bit. Nice 4-point side. Filmed him getting it. He's down here in one of these openings, weighing out where they've been digging up all the acorns. So we're actually just going to collect cameras today. And now we're on a kind of an abbreviated shed hunt here. We're just gonna walk towards the cameras in all these places that we're seeing all this digging, because like I always say, most of the times you're gonna find something in feeding, which is where we found that 8-point side. It's a 4-point side, but it's half an 8-pointer, half a 9-pointer or something. But pretty big. Pretty well. Not a giant, but it's a good one. It's a 3.5-year-old. Pretty decent. Clean 8. It's just perfect. Clean 8. So they're dropping, which I kind of figured this is about the time, the end of January, start of February. They'll really start getting into it. I'm not going to go up too much farther than this. We're not going to go over the plateau here. We're just going to stay below this. And you can see they've been digging in here a lot. All the side hills all dug up. So we're just going to cruise along here and keep our eyes open for another obvious drop. We're not going to get too heavy into it today. I don't really have the energy to do so. And no, I don't have the COVID. I just have some type of January crud that I normally get this time of year. It makes me a little sluggish. So usually I don't do anything in January. I try to take January to kind of rest, because I know if I keep pushing as hard as I always do, I'm going to end up getting sicker. So, but the draw of the sheds has got me out here today. I just couldn't stand to have these cameras sitting here soaking. The one down below us, I didn't grab the card yet because I got to walk back past it to the truck. It's got over 2,000 pictures on it. So these deer have been in here hard. Look at these banks. This is the stuff you're looking for when you're out looking for sheds this time of year. Any place they're on these banks digging. You see these banks are really steep. So the sun hits them good. It makes there's a heck of a lot less snow on these than there is on some of these other flats. So they're going to get up here and really dig. And they'll stay here for the whole day, just doing nothing but eating. So you need to get up in here and look, because this is the spot they're going to drop their antlers, for sure. Let me tell you what. I know a lot of guys out there don't like spending money on shoes. But I'm going to tell you, so far, I've been out on 3 or 4 trips now with these ice bugs, and these things are fantastic. I just walked up that icy crevasse, I guess you'd call it, right there. Don't look like much, but it's slippery. With my other boots, I'd have been on my face. I just walked up it like Spider-Man. These things are awesome for this. They're warm too. Man, are they warm. And they breathe good, so you don't get swamp foot like I do with my rubber boots, and then get cold feet after. They breathe good, and your feet stay dry. They stay warm. They're Gore-Tex, so they keep your feet dry even if you're stepping in water. I haven't got wet feet in these things once since I've had them. I'm running gaiters today, because I get sick of the snow packing up in my feet and up in my pants. So, all right, this is as far as we're gonna go, is right here. Munch, let's get up here and look. I found a lot of sheds right here on this knob. So we're gonna look here, and then we're gonna head back down. Got a camera down below, and then we got a bunch of them that way. So we'll put the camera down. We'll take it back out when we find a shed or something of interest. There's one thing for sure, and today is a perfect example of it. Is the one thing you give up on when you're shed hunting with a dog is the as they lay pictures. Sorry, I'm short of breath today. Because generally, by the time you get to where you can take a picture, he's already picked it up and ran off with it. In the grand scheme of things, you want him to do like he did today and bring it to you and drop it at your feet, which was awesome. That was textbook. All right, we're out here collecting our cameras. Not only that, but we're also looking for sheds, because we just found that fresh one. Looks like it was dropped within the last few days. There's blood still on it, and the wax ring's still fresh. Good sign. I'll have to check my pictures to see if I have that one on camera. I don't think I got that one. It's just a really nice, perfect little 8. All right, so the other thing we're doing is we're also looking for sign that we can utilize next deer season. And one of the things I really like to find is really nice rubs, like this one. Now that rub is heading in that direction. There's another set of rubs right down the ridge here, and they're heading in that same direction. Why are they heading in that direction? That's one of the things that this is a clue for. There's an open pasture over here, And there's an old clear cut right over here that they're feeding in during the summertime. So what are they doing? This is an evening spot. They're staging here before they go out in that field because they're bedding up on these ridges. There's a bunch of finger ridges and little flats and points up on top of this hill. That's where they're bedding. So that's telling me they're coming down off from these to go and feed that way. So you set up in here. The trick is, one, if you're a tree stand hunter, it's a good spot because you can get up high enough that your scent's not going to connect with them. If you're hunting from a tent blind, you definitely want to use some type of scent control device like a zero trace, and you want to set up so your wind is blowing not up through the valley that you think they're going to come from. So you want to crosswind a lot of times. The only problem is you're going to have thermals that are going to be sucking right up through these valleys up to the top from this bottom, especially if it's warm out. That's the only drawback setting up this close to one of these bedding areas, is it is going to pull your scent right up through there, which can be a problem. So what I generally do is I'll set up farther out on the point here and have my scent pulling out around one of these other corners. You have to really look at the topography because wind and thermals will move like water, in the sense that I've got another draw on this other side feeding up this draw. Then I have this draw. If you think the deer are going to be coming out of this draw, you want to set back so your scent gets sucked out that way, or vice versa, and you have to look at the wind. Wind is everything on a setup, and even with the zero trace, you still have to be careful. They can still wind you. Your scent is eliminated down to a minuscule amount, but they still pick up on it. You gotta remember, their noses are pretty dang incredible. So it'll get you closer. Here's another one right here. We got a trail right here. See the trail packing back and forth here. And look, we got another rub. This side of the tree, facing this way. Look at this. There's no rub on that side of the tree. So this is definitely a spot that they're coming off these bedding areas in the evening, heading down. Just keep that in mind when you're out scouting. These are all things that you need to learn for setups. Now, I'm not much of a bow hunter. I've just hunted this spot a lot with rifle, and a lot of times they'll travel the same path because the does are doing the same thing that the bucks are in here. They're coming off these bedding areas up on the top, and they're coming down through here to feed. The bucks are just going to be behind them. So just by reading those clues, one, you know there's a buck in here, and two, you know which way he's traveling. Don't set up on the hill in the evening. You set up on this bank in the evening, once the sun goes down, your scent's going to start sucking down in here and heading out. The nice thing is, a lot of times, by the time they're heading down, they've used the scent to get down to a certain point on the hill, and the wind shifts and heads down. If you set up on one of these ravines, your scent's going that way, and you can catch them on these flats. Alright, so Chancy Chance and I were coming by this blowdown, and we were seeing all the deer had been eating on it. And then he went directly to the back and found, come on, leave the stick. Let's go up this hill. So we went east, yeah. So we come to here, and you can see that the deer had been feeding on all these buds on the end of these tree branches. And he went directly that way and said he found something over there. So I went over, and he's digging. And I was like, oh, he found a shed that got buried. So I helped him dig it up, and it was a dead coyote. No, leave it. Let's go. A little bit smaller than him. A little female coyote. It looked like it had died. It was all curled up. It looked like it died in its sleep. Probably starved to death during that really bad snow that we had, because it looks like a pop. Come on, Chance. Probably couldn't get any food. So the trick is to get him out of there, because, you know, dead stinky things, that's what he wants to smell. Now I got to get him back focusing on the task at hand here, so here we go. Come on, Chance, let's go. That's fine. Good morning. It was something cold this morning when I got up. It was 0 degrees out. I went and did chores. It's warmed up quite a bit. It's probably 19 now. Feels like a heat wave. Sounds funny, doesn't it? Well, yesterday, Chance and I came out here and we were just checking cameras, and lo and behold, we found a shed of a nice 8-pointer, a big, wide 8-pointer. So when I got home, I was checking the cards, and on the cards, the deer came into this field, but when he came out, he was bald, had nothing on his head. So those antlers are out here. So I'm going to try to do this kind of low impact type thing here. There's a lot of deer tracks in here from last night, a ton. So we'll look around because there were a bunch of deer that were still carrying antlers, a couple of decent ones, little 7-pointer. There's a nice 6-pointer, and there's a couple of spikes and stuff like that, but there's definitely that one big 8-pointer in here. So we're just going to kind of go over here, and I'm going to glass down the hill. I don't want to get in here too deep if I can help it, and see if we can locate this one. I would have brought the dog today, but it's so friggin' cold out. It's not good on his feet when it's this cold, even though it's, it's warmed up a little bit. It's still really cold on his poor little feet. So we're just going to get over here. We're looking in this section. There's so many tracks. The deer are grouped in here because there's so many acorns along this line of oaks. And there's a bunch of acorns on the hill. So they're just feeding all in this section right now. This is how it is every year, as long as I've got acorns that are around here. So I'm going to shut the camera off. I'm going to get over here and start looking around. Alright, we didn't find the big set yet, but I just found a match 6-point set. Go figure, right? Check this out. Laying right there. Let's look at the bases. Yeah, bloody. Just dropped them. I've got this guy on camera. He dropped these in the last couple of days here. So, that's a start. Alright, so here's what's going on. Up here behind me, right there, there's a big beach blowdown. There's a trail on both sides of it. My camera is on this side of it. So I had pictures of him coming into the field with antlers 2 nights in a row. And then a big buck leaving without antlers. And then coming down the next night bald, completely bald. So what's going on here is they come in and they feed along that line. And they'll go up back and after they're done eating, they go bed somewhere. There's a big bed over there from last night. But I think what happened was, when you go up through here, there's a split in the trail. And one trail goes up, one trail goes up that way. And if he goes up on this one, it goes in between both cameras where it can't get him. So what I'm thinking happened was he dropped that one antler out here in the field, and he went up and bedded somewhere up in there, dropped his other antler between the time he went and bedded and the next night. And that antler could be up on the top. I'm not going to go up there today. I'll do that next time.